welcome to the Youth Roundtable, our dear viewers out there. Today, I stand here again, yet with another capable panel to dissect some of the issues affecting us, the young people of Uganda. And this week, of course, the hot topic in question is the tour of the National Unity Platform around the country. And we shall be asking ourselves different questions that this matter merits. One of them being, is it the right time to campaign? Is it a campaign? Is it a tour? First of all, is it a rally? We shall be, dissecting to find out exactly what was going on all over the country. We also saw issues around security. We saw a bomb scare. We saw bikery on social media, where there were crowds, where there were no crowds. But the key question at the end of the day is, what does this mean for you, the young person out there, on this journey of nation building, as we work together every single day to make sure that this is a country that works for all of us? And to discuss this issue today, I couldn't have asked for a better panel. Very capable young leaders, many whom I didn't grow up, but I witnessed taking on these positions of leadership, especially in the last few years. And I've grown up, come of age as one of the most capable young leaders that we have in Uganda. And we look forward to having them in the future as our leaders as well. So to discuss these issues today, I will start with the gentleman on my very left, the most honorable Julius Kateregga, my guild president, Councillor of Kawempe, a member of the University Council, and also Deputy Director of Institution at the National Unity Platform. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
My brother Ola, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
I hope we are going to have a very fruitful conversation, feeding into the future, but also talking about, how the youth get to participate in the national affairs and make sure they're not participating at the end of the day.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. And the gentleman in the middle, the most honorable Macxzzon Muhwezi from the NRM, but for purposes of this show, the National Resistance Movement Youth League, but also the chairperson, Inter-Party Youth Forum, a very nationalistic gentleman. You're most welcome.
Thank you, Ola. Greetings to the viewers. I'm happy once again to have the opportunity to be hosted here.
And we are most happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. And finally, the lady in the room, Honorable Sayuni Hellen, from the UID, a member of the Democratic Party as well. You're most welcome. And thanks for always being here to dissect some of these critical issues.
Thank you, Ola, for hosting us.
Yes. And I'll start with you, Honorable Hellen. What stood out for you in the last 1 week?
A lot, definitely. But the rallies, the campaigns, and the noise, the political noise around definitely did. Yesterday I was watching news and saw that the chairperson of FDC has been denied over 600 million to host the delegates conference. That really stood out for me. The bomb scares and all that. And I believe us as young people, we have a lot to learn in that whole landscape of what is happening around.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, indeed, it has been a busy week, and we'll be delving more into issues around the security, but also in general politics as we go forth. Honorable Macxzzon, what stood out for you in the last 1 week?
The other week, we had Mzee's 50 years.
Yes.
Anniversary, 50 years of marriage. To me, as a younger person, really, I am challenged by the patience, the faith, and the discipline one can have and move 50 years in marriage without turbulence, without turmoil, but also sacrificing for the country. Not just for the country, but also for the entire continent.
Yes.
And you still move that whole mileage. It is extraordinary, outstanding, and it is challenging. The young people really have so many lessons to pick from that particular marriage. It was really interesting for me.
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting one. I'm sure our comrades didn't expect that.
I am waiting to hear him talk about 12 years of marriage. The other side.
He's also going to talk about the 50 years.
12
I
years
don't
in
expect
marriage.
that to have stood out for my brother. I know there was a lot going on with NUP, and we shall discuss that. But in general, what stood out for you in the last 1 week?
Majorly, what stood out for me, partly because I participated, the first thing that stood out for me is the national-wide reach outs of the National Unity Platform, especially the warm welcomes that we received in the western part of the country. The people of Western Uganda, from Barara to Fort Portal, Kasese, and Kabale, came through in huge numbers. We saw that people are truly yearning for change. The other was at the beginning of this week on Sunday, the bomb scares that are roaming the country, which I think are directly linked to the activities that we are trying to do as the National Unity Platform. Just yesterday, you saw the army spokesperson come out as they justified these bomb scares and linking them to what we're doing. We are not shocked. That is what they tried to do. But also, as we were in the western part of Uganda last week, and you saw that when we reached Kabale, on top of everything that went on, we concluded whatever activity we were doing much earlier, because we had received information from reliable sources that the state machinery was planning danger upon us, either at the venue or any route to Kampala, because that was going to be, or that would be our last day there. So it shook us, but it is also beshaming that, you know, citizens cannot conduct themselves in a manner expected, especially if leaders cannot reach out to sensitize masses and push out a political message that every time people get out, if we are not caned, like Chairman Nyanz, our national mobilizer, was caned 3 months ago, then that is the time bomb scares come up.
Yes.
Or that is the time, our leaders or ourselves are threatened, that these threats come up. So that stood out for me, and it's very regrettable. But also, Macxzzon here spoke about the institution of marriage.
Yes.
And he spoke about 50 years of General Museveni with the First Lady and the Minister of Education, Ms. Kataha Museveni. I must commend her for being a resilient lady. I must think it is not very easy to be a wife to such an unruly character.
Okay.
In the same faith, since we're commemorating the institution of marriage, our president of the National Unity Platform, with his dear wife, also marked 12 years in marriage. And like Macxzzon says, the institution of marriage particularly speaks to the organization speaks to the nucleus of the nation. And you've seen us, because majorly, most of us young leaders, especially who were voted in on our party ticket, you would see that many of us were either below 30 or slightly above 30.
Yes.
So we came into, oftentimes you saw our party coming, being targeted. And I thank our president for particularly standing firm on that particular issue, and constantly encouraging the young leaders within the party to formalize their marriage, because that is marriage is one of the most important institutions of any state. But also, in his own words, he says it is very responsible. If people, how can citizens entrust us with the leadership if we cannot govern ourselves? So the institution is very important, and I want to congratulate my president, but also General Museveni and his wife for the milestone of 50 years in marriage.
Yeah, thank you very much. Comrade, you had something to...
Yeah, I was just asking whether it was still introduction.
No, and I think he did a good job to enter part of the first question that I was going to bring up to you. Today, a few weeks ago, the issue was with the Forum for Democratic Change, but today we believe all these parties have a role in the general construction of our future as Ugandans, because like all the different parties you represent have young people. So today in issue, mostly we are discussing the National Youth Platform, but we would like to start from the tour around the country. From an internal viewpoint, from your headquarters, how do you describe this tour for a young person out there? Was it a campaign? Was it a rally? Was it a statement you're trying to make? Could you please define what you're doing around the country for the young person or the young viewer out there?
First of all, political parties and other political organizations are charged with the responsibility and the duty to the citizens of this nation. Part of that responsibility and the duty is to do massive sensitization and mobilization to the masses and the political class in this nation. So in that very spirit, the National Unity Platform set out, we rolled out a nationwide wake-up call to the citizens of this country, where we are taking our message of liberation, where we are reminding the people of particular sub-regions about the burning issues in those regions and how we think certain issues should be handled. Our message has been cut out for all these areas. When we were in Mbarara, we were speaking to the people of Mbarara, and our message was majorly centered around the new Mbarara, an imagination of a new Ankole, or what would be expected of what National Unity Platform would do better if we were in charge of this country. The people of Ankole are majorly farmers, and they also rear animals. So the message was passed on in that direction. When we moved to Fort Portal, there is a very burning issue of largely the people of Tolo sub-region have taken their children to school through who are they're farmers. So they have majorly taken their children through tea and mira. And there's a law that had been enacted about substance abuse, and mira had been taken as one of those substances.
But previously it was not.
Previously it was not,
yes.
But now it has been gazetted as one of substances, dangerous substances. There is no scientific back up to that extent. So we thought that as a national unity platform, we think this is one of the schemes of the NRM, like it has always done to cripple the people. We've seen it here in Uganda, where I come from, where they target coffee, they bring peanut and other people with an intention of crippling the masses and make them economically dependent, more economically dependent. So majorly the people of Toro sub-region and Butambala, the people who are surviving on Mira. So recently there were studies made and they realized that this was, this crop had a market, a serious market out there. So they wanted to grab it the way they have grabbed gold and other resources and nationalize it, and maybe because the requirement was that one is required to have a certificate, a certificate ordinarily, but for one to access a certificate, acreage of around 500, which the mwananchi would not be able to. So the message to the people of Kasese was in the same direction. The people of Kasese are grieving about the incidents of 2016. The Msinga is still missing from Kasese. So when we went there, we told them what we thought had to be done, but also rallied them to ensure that they welcome the Msinga when he goes back early next month. That the same, we went on to Kabale as a sample space to test the waters in the Chigezi sub-region. And what we saw there, and like you saw, people welcomed us. But on all these instances, you must say in Imbarara, the radio station was switched off. Fort Portal was okay. In Kasese, they blocked us from accessing the radio station. In Kabale, in as much as there was no serious havoc, but us who on ground saw these things. In Kabale, they first blocked us from accessing the city. They wanted us to from accessing the town. They wanted us to pass. I've forgotten the name of the hill, until we resisted and left the cars on the road and moved and overpowered the security forces. They blocked us from accessing the radio station. We had to pay twice because they delayed us. On the grounds where we're supposed to be, police and the army went there and caned people. That's why you saw us addressing the masses on the streets where we were opening up our offices. So, but generally, the intention of the tour was to remind, or is to remind Ugandans of our plight, that it's not yet Uhuru. And people should not get in the comfort zone and or get in a state of despair and feel like everyone has abandoned them. So we are calling on Ugandans. This is not a fight we started. This is a fight that was started by our forefathers. We are still carrying on the secondary liberation, which people like Dr. Kizza Besigye have spearheaded. We are just carrying on the mantle, and we are pushing on to deliver it. Today we have moved to Busia. Yesterday we were in Mayuge, and our message was very clear. You see how the lake was taken over. The regime chased away the citizens and gave the lake to Chinese. They are the ones who majorly fish from there, and all their agents on the lake. And the people of Mayiga, our message was very clear, because that is their source of survival. We want to make it clear to them. So we are giving a very localized message to such places that we go to.
Yes, comrade. Just to inquire into that. Normally, the national platform does the job, and I think it's a service in any developed democracy. The opposition is a service. Exactly what you've said, to critique the government. But we have seen on and on again. This never translates into a majority vote. Is it the case that the people feel like the government in place is better placed to solve those very problems? Why is it that the grievances you state never translate into a majority vote? Say, for example, 2020, 2021, 2016, over the 4 national general elections prior?
Well, I'm here to speak for the National Unity Platform.
Yes.
And the National Unity Platform became a sounding party around 2020,
yes,
in August.
Yes.
So we cannot say that elections have failed entirely. If we are to go by what...
Do you think you perform better, which was substantial amount, percentage, 34%?
Maybe to
given your tour.
Maybe to make it very clear to you. Our reach outs are not anywhere directed towards
elections.
Yes, 2026 elections. Okay. Our president made it clear. We are just reaching out. He made it very clear in Fort Portal. We are reaching out to the people to remind them of the need to rise up and be aware of their environment and fight for themselves. And that is what we are doing. But ordinarily, one can argue like that. I was in charge of mobilization for the youth elections in the National Unity Platform when that phase came. The state apparatus used younger people like Macxzzon and the police and the other agencies to cajole us. Initially, they wanted to make us look like a Uganda outfit party. That is why they did not. The election you're talking about, the NRM rigged us out everywhere for the first time. For the first time, because I participated in this, we put out agents out of the country everywhere. And for example, I was directly in charge of the people who were in Kazo, the people who were on ground. They had to run away. These are senior people who I had worked with. They had to run away because people were using guns. For example, votes for president were brought pre-ticked. Everyone, including the deceased, no one was absent on most of these polling stations. They registered 100% turnout for the election of 14. So for most of these elections, it was people were coming to vote for the MP. And so the election was kind of sham, apart from the central region, because the state apparatus intended to package the National Unity Platform as an outfit for central region. But we did very well in the eastern region. We did very well in if I could get you figures, because they did this in Western Uganda in some areas, but not in most of the areas, but not in Mbarara City. If I do not want to talk, but I speak with authority. I know that we won more polling stations in Mbarara City, more than Genome 7. If I add it, but these are facts.
Yes.
We did very well elsewhere,
yes.
and just that they went on changing.
And we'll get back to that discussion, especially there's a question around whether the opposition mostly rides in urban centers, and how it reaches the rural populations, and we will get back to that later. But I want to bring in Comrade Macxzzon. Our comrade here, Kateregga, says that the National Unity Platform was merely reminding the citizens of the different plights that they face collectively. Do you agree that that was the main motive, or do you think there was something involved, especially now that the roadmap to 2026 is out?
Thank you. You see, when I listen to this talk, I need to confirm that the Ugandans are in trouble. Uganda is in trouble. Mr. Kateregga is my former guild president and also a friend. I respect him so much. But as a Makererean, I'm extraordinarily disappointed. And I want to tell it to him here that I'm very disappointed. Chairman Nyanzi, in his statement, which is formal and official, says we are going to begin our nationwide tour as NUP, number one, to reawaken our people. 2, to share a message. We don't know the message. I was listening. That's why I'm disappointed. I was listening and waiting for the message. I think you have given him the best time the moderator can provide. Nothing. They are saying they are going to identify leaders. That's what he said. But also use that tool to identify leaders.
That is Chairman Nyanzi.
Exactly. Now, Mr. Kateregga here is extraordinarily detached from what Chairman Nyanzi said and what the leadership of the party said. Contradiction. I hope the viewers will be able really to understand the direction the so-called people power or NUP is taking. For the first time in 700 years, since the 1300, since the Chwezi, there is no any political formation that has had a direction, a good ideological orientation that guides action of liberating Ugandans from critical questions, apart from the National Resistance Movement, NRM. I am waiting for NUP to give us the best alternative and challenge Ugandans that, ladies and gentlemen, as NUP, we have so many questions that Ugandans have failed to answer. Question of poverty, the question of education, the question of health, the question of insecurity, the question of all those questions. I want NUP to come up with alternatives, apart from invading business in towns, just shouting, making just empty talks, making noise, and they are campaigning. Security is saying, ladies and gentlemen, we have allowed you to campaign. After all, that is what the NRA fought for. Freedom for everybody. And that's what the NRM has been promising, that we can promise liberty and freedom for every political party to discuss, to go and campaign, to go and rally, provided you're within the means agreed. If you go to Mbarara, there is a particular venue you're supposed to go to. Why? Not everybody in town is concerned with the business of NUP. People want to take children to school. People want to make money. So you come in the morning, just invade the town, blah, blah, you're making noise. Then you say security is against us. You abandon the venue of designation and you go to the street. Why? Because you don't have people. Mr. Kateregga, he has told you he was on ground. It means he was ferried. You get what I'm saying? So what is the message? For me, what is the message? And also, before the message, how organized are you? You challenge me as NRM and say, okay, in terms of poverty, if our opinion is parish development model, what is the opinion of NUP? Then we can ponder. But there is nothing. They're discussing nothing. If there is, and Mr. Kateregga gave it to you, he was talking of Mira, reducing the whole country tour to Mira, Mairunji. You get? I can tell you I'm very, very disappointed.
But to be fair, he mentioned the different districts and some of the problems that he faced within.
Like what? Tell me what? Those are petty issues. I've told you we have critical questions Ugandans are facing. Unemployment, poverty, insecurity, and education, and health. You get? Ideological disorientation, political underdevelopment. what are the alternative policies? For me, that's what I want to hear. You're not going to reduce Ugandans just small issues. You get that security is after us, they caned us, blah blah. Please. Save Ugandans. Don't think Ugandans are naive, by the way. You get? So that is point number one. Point number two. Point number two. I am very happy that Mr. Kateregga finally confirms that the NRM or the leadership or the government has capacity to organize a free and fair election, and these people participate. 2019, 2018, NUP started mushrooming in a very bad environment of dictatorship. Like Mr. Kateregga and the outfit have always said, the pressure group have always said, if the NRM is very harsh, very crude, hostile, and cracking on each and everybody, 2018, 2019, the NUP started mushrooming. They have majority in government. They have won all those positions they have mentioned. Where was security? To crack down on them. Where was the dictatorial government, the tyrannical government? Where was it? So it means they are lying Ugandans. They preach wine, they preach water, and in the back, take wine. And the Bible says, we shall see them by their fruits. And indeed, 2021, we saw them emerging as alternative political party, the biggest opposition party with majority in government, opposition majority in parliament. Where did they come from? Where did they get the money? Where? If the government really was on their case, where did they get the money? To field all those candidates, support all those MPs, go to where, support, premier, where? You get, in this government, in this Uganda where, everyone is poor because Museveni has made everybody poor. You get, not forgetting that each member of parliament, registration is 3M. So, was it Mudaku Muda? Where did they get it? So let them just shut up. They have nothing to present. They have nothing to say. They can only concentrate on understanding and learning how politics work, and also go down to their kitchen and prepare a meal for Ugandans to eat. If they don't, we are just going to enjoy the empty talk. In any case, finally, let me tell you, as far as I know, you have never overpowered security. And you will never. It cannot happen. Because they know you, they know me, they know where I stay, they know where she stays. You get, when they say, please, don't go and paralyze people's business. Because not everybody is NUP. You say, no. For us, we want to address people. Please go to the venue that was prepared. Because I understand before they started that country tour, there was a security meeting between them and said, okay, you are going, but make sure you follow the plan. When because they have never campaigned, maybe they're excited by people who have come to see musicians, they want to paralyze people's business. That is rubbish. And for the sake of Ugandans, not because I'm National Resistance Movement, for the sake of Ugandans. Ugandans want peace, Ugandans want to make money, Ugandans want jobs, Ugandans want business, and they take their children to school. Without answers to those questions, it is empty talk.
Thank you very much. And I'll give you, Comrade Kateregga, time to answer. But before that, I want to bring in Honorable Hellen here. Do you think, the people from the National Resistance Movement, and he has reiterated, look at this as a symbol of the political freedom under the National Resistance Movement regime, that the NUP can go all over the country, gather all these crowds in the different towns and nothing happens. Okay, of course there are always hitches with people, but in general, there was an acceptance towards campaigns all over the country. Do you think it is something meritable to give to the NRM regime to give that political space to an opposition party?
I think my brother Kateregga may need some water today. because things are really hot on inside. And maybe before I answer your question, I really want to add a voice on what Comrade Macxzzon is just saying and ask about the message that the NUP is really passing out. Because for me, the rallying and all being given space and maybe being guarded or maybe being given allowed to have a rally anywhere is not the case for me. That wouldn't be my issue, whether you've been allowed or not. But the question should be about the message. Even if you were not allowed, the people should fight for you because they believe there is a message that you're passing out. The question that we are asking at this moment is, from Kasese to Kabare, to Bara, to Mayuge, what message are you tabling on table?
Do you think it's a problem of packaging that message? Because he has stated some of the issues.
Unfortunately, I did not hear the issues.
Do they just need one statement?
Maybe you give him time to
like the 5-10-point program. Do they need a package?
Ola, it's not even about that. I am telling you, Ugandans have problems, and the problems are the same. Do not go to Kisoro and you think their problems are very different from the problems that the people of the East have. The problems that we have in this country are very well known on a billboard pinned on everybody's face. As young people, we have our own problems. They are not really different from from the other generations. We face the very challenges. But the question we are asking right here is, what message is NUP passing out? And I want to address myself to the issue that we are just from an election. 2.5 years. They were voted, they have at least a big number in parliament. They are the opposition leaders, for God's sake. The biggest thing that I even expect from NUP at this moment is to give us accountability on what they've been able to do in that position. That probably if they won and maybe we didn't fight enough for them to take over government, we say that now that you're in opposition and you've done this, when you become leader, when you go into government, you will live in Dumo. What have you done even with the little opposition that you've had? Nothing completely. The role of the opposition in this country is to give us alternative policies. Where are they? What are you telling us? You map out the problems that we are facing in this country. You're supposed to be solution-oriented. Where are the solutions? It's not important to keep telling me that I'm from Mayuge. Busoga is the poorest region in this country. What are you doing about it as opposition? What policy have you tabled in the Legislative Assembly? That this and this should be done to work on this.
Just to chip in.
You go to Kabale.
Just
Yes,
to
please,
chip in.
Yes, please.
I have been very, very, very particular with this tour. The most mentioned name in the tour is Mr. Museveni.
Completely.
So what exactly are they touring?
Exactly.
And what are they popularizing? 2.5 years after the campaign. Is it time for real campaign? Like Chairman Nyan said, considering the contradiction of Mr. Kateregga. 2 years after I have given you the vote, do I need really you to come to town and you go to on top of the vehicle and you start drumming? When my child is in the house, children are going back to school on 18th. You don't tell me issues of drumming and getting on top of the vehicle. It doesn't help. Tell me that NRM last came here and they told us that go for the 4-acre model. Plant this, but with a chibaro. You get such that you get something to eat, but also take your children to school. I want NUP to come and say, all this is rubbish. You have 4 acres, do this and this. You get?
Okay.
Not drumming.
Yes.
Yes, I was still in my time. And I'm saying, the best thing that we can hear from NUP right now is that Ugandans, this and this are our challenges. Unemployment, health is still a very big issue, and our education system is deteriorating day in, day out. We are talking about insecurity issues. I want to hear NUP tabling alternatives, telling us Ugandans that, look, as the biggest opposition in the government, here are our alternatives. I want to hear Bobby Wine going to Mayuge and telling people that, look, Busoga is the poorest region ever in this country. We have issues of early child pregnancies and marriage in Busoga. This and this is what should be done. Not just lamenting. It's not enough to tell me about about my problem. It is enough when you inform me about it, because these are the issues that we've had from time immemorial. Everybody that comes to campaign outlines these issues. But I think the reason as to why the government has not changed is because people are left hanging on what else they can do. Because as a leader, I am expected to tell a person that, here, look, this is what we should do. But when you go out mapping out issues and for God's sake, it's not even time. We are selling our country and we are in trouble. We are in a dilemma. We are in great trouble.
But Honorable Hellen,
if at all we don't deal with the issue of politicking, because it is a big problem in this country.
We could ask the same of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Because just because they are the main opposition party, that mean DP may not be the main opposition party in 2026.
I will give you a very thorough answer.
As the future main opposition party, or possibly the government party,
if you're
what alternatives?
If you're trying to come to DP, I will tell you that we've tried elections, we've tried collaborations, and now we are telling our people. And our message was very clear with the homecoming. And we are doing town hall meetings. Our message is very clear that at this time we need to talk to each other, we need to dialogue, we need to reconcile and talk to each other and talk about the problems of this country. We are not saying that, look, our problem is this and this. We are saying the only solution that we have right now, after failing on ballot for all these years, after failing on violence, with walk to work and all that, and our people dying, people are still in cells rotting because of the election. You're not doing anything about it. You're even trying to bring more into the cell. We are not very serious. We are not serious at all. And we must be very serious as young people. And I get more hurt when I see that it is the young people rallying most in these campaigns of Bobi Wine. I get very hurt, and my question is, for how long shall the young people in this country just be used and they cannot use their brains to see that this is not right? I earlier said one of the biggest troubles we are throwing ourselves into, and as young people and even the majority of the Ugandans, is to allow early politicking. In my district right now, you may think the election is tomorrow. We are not even giving the people that, whether we voted them or they were declared, time to even implement the manifesto they have. Because people get power, people fight for power to get it and retain it. So the moment you start putting somebody on pressure, even when they are in chair, they will not do anything. Their role will be to maybe use the little money they have to retain the power. So we are not even giving these people anything like time to implement what they promised. So we need to put a timeline. I believe we need something around on when should Ugandans start politicking, because it is going to become a problem. You are voted today, politicking is starting tomorrow. It's a very big challenge in this country. So we need to deal with it. Otherwise, if we don't deal with it, it's going to become a problem, and we shall not have anything that these politicians are going to do for us. They will be politicking January to January 2026. It is just too, for God's sake, not even a cabinet reshuffle is out yet. We do not even have 2.5 years after we elected these leaders, but we are just out here. And we have started our early campaigns, and they are using just English to confuse Ugandans, that they are rallies, that they are reminding Ugandans. I remember in one of the speeches that Bobi Wine made after President Museveni had sworn in, was that he was going to change government of, how did he say, for was in 2 weeks? Then he came back and said, did I say I actually gave him a, yeah, we are waiting. Because those are the questions that we must be asking Bobi Wine right now.
I actually said that if we disturb him,
we should be asking Bobi Wine that you in your campaign, you said you were going to change government within this shortest time. If change of government failed, what have you done, you as a leader, apart from going out and throwing pictures of beaches and what?
Hellen,
what have you done
just to inquire, politics has both participation and contestation.
Yes.
And of course, contestation involves things like bickering with your nemesis. We have also had political parties like the Farmers' Party of Biraro, which were strong on alternative policies, but failed to gather, the numbers. We had another one, the Break-Off Party of Tumukunde, strong on alternative policies, but failed to break through political in terms of numbers. Don't you think NUP deserves their, I'm sure they have a manifesto, but don't you think they deserve, to follow their own strategy? And what brings them
now
numbers?
Let me
Actually, 34%
but
of
when you
Uganda.
take politics that side, you're going to cause problems for us. It should be about bring the policy, whether it's implemented by who. That should be a question for another day. You know, PDM was a policy for DP. It is from our 10 milestones manifesto that we hoped to implement. You know, the men used to pay tax. When Besigye talked about it, Museveni scrapped it off. Those are the things that we are talking about. Talk about an issue. As to who will implement, it is going to benefit Ugandans. We are talking about issues that benefit Ugandans, not us. It shouldn't be about carrying a crown. It should actually be about somebody out there knowing that I benefited from the crown that you're carrying, not just having the crown on your head, for God's sake. So unless you're telling me that for us Ugandans, we are fighting for just carrying the crown and not the crown, and not what the crown has done, there I will listen. But if you are talking about issues of what best can benefit Ugandans, me, that discussion is the discussion I'm very ready to participate in. And if tomorrow we have a leader who will come and tell us that as Ugandans, we've suffered this and this and this, and these are the solutions that we can, I am sure the younger people of this country, or even the other generations, are ready to follow. Because we are in a very big dilemma at the moment, and we must look out for solutions. And I'm talking about this because I even believe that you will take a leaf out of it. And even said it to your leader that, what message? Call him and tell him, man, Chibanda, what message are we sending to Uganda?
Thank you very much, Honorable Hellen and Macxzzon. I'm sure Honorable Kateregga is waiting for his chance to answer. I'm sure he has capable answers. But right now we are going to take a brief break as we prepare for the second segment, where we shall continue this discussion. We have 3 different political parties in the building, and you, the youth out there who are Ugandans just looking for a better country that works for all of us. So let's stick to the discussion, and in the second segment we'll continue, but also look for ways forward for young people. How do you, for example, interact with some of these political dynamics from different sides as they come into your towns, your villages? Stick with us here on the Youth Roundtable.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, from that brief break. And today we are continuing the discussion, pivoting around the National Unity Platform to around the country. But in general, of course, our first priority is a country that works for the youth of Uganda. And that's the purpose of the discussions in the Youth Roundtable. With me, as introduced earlier, is a very capable panel. And we are going to continue delving into this discussion. And I'll start with Comrade Kateregga. In the first segment, there were several issues raised, but core to it was that it appears that the National Unity Platform, in its messaging at least, mostly is good at identifying problems, but when it comes to alternative solutions, it is the perspective that you don't have some of these. I don't know if that can be true for a party of your size, or it's just an issue of the strategy that you've chosen in terms of reaching the masses. But I think you're in the best position to answer. Why is it that the message of alternative policies of NUP is not being heard as loud as the problems that you're identifying?
Thank you, colleague. And, my memory serves me right, I would like to refresh particularly Hellen's memory. At the start of the 11th Parliament, when Right Honourable Matthias Impuga was appointed leader of opposition, we set out and gave, an avenue for alternative policies as a party, an alternative policy. I do not know if you remember, on education, on health, and on a number of things. And I remember categorically the message that was coming from, colleagues, particularly the propagandists like Macxzzon. Don't shock me, but coming from people like Hellen and their outfit, which has now joined the system, there were very people who were like, this is not the way to go. I do not know if you remember when we set out and for the NUP to give an alternative policy of a sort on a number of issues, on how we would deal with issues, or the alternative way. To date, maybe to inform you, in the 11th Parliament, the National Unity Platform has been consistent on suggesting alternative. And reports, there is a report I was reading, and it is probably second best in the recent past. There is a policy, for example, on local government, which we brought through Ethel Naluyima, and which the NRM actually adopted. But that is one of the few. I'll go back to the issue. I'll go back to the issue at hand. Where we went, Macxzzon, they maybe to answer him, what we were talking about was devolution of power and resources. Their system has survived on nationalizing resources and depriving the local leaders or the local leaderships of a right to perform. A good example is Kampala. Kampala, the metropolitan area, contributes more than 75% of the national budget. But when we go back to the after they have taken this money, because they take all this money from the local,
in terms of taxation.
Yes, they take it away, and then they do not even give us.
Which people, Mr. Kateregga?
The regime, the NRM regime.
But you're part of the regime, you're a councillor.
The NRM regime does not even bring back.
Mr. Kateregga, you're in government.
Does not even bring back. If I did not come here to I've not been equaling him. If you allow me,
proceed.
Yes, I beg for your protection. They do not even KCCA, which contributes over KCCA and Wakiso contribute over 30 billion. Over 30 trillion. And KCCA has a budget of 340 billion. Makerere University, an institution in Kampala, has a bigger budget from the central government than with the heap of work that KCCA has to do in this country or in this city, including the works in Makerere. Makerere has a greater budget. Many other institutions have a big, and that is a problem. So we suggested, and that is the spirit in which we're operating. The colleagues, including them and other colleagues, shut it down. I want to proceed.
If you can allow,
let's give Macxzzon 30 seconds. Just let's be orderly and
just orderly
communicate.
Uganda runs a budget of 47.3 trillion shillings. The total correction annual is 29 trillion. So how does then Wakiso and KCCA contribute 30 trillion?
I I think we will. I mean, we will get to the substance or the numbers after the show. But I believe there's a point behind the numbers that you are trying to make, so you can proceed.
So in terms of percentages, if the metropolitan area contributes more than 80% of the total collections, then how do you kick back? For example, Kampala receives, and the cry has been that if for the city to transform, because everyone works here, everyone survives, and the city is our pride. If say we were given that we've indicated it in the state's strategic plan to the powers that be, that the city needs at least 1.3 trillion for 5 years for it to be operationalized into a modern city. Now the challenge comes in that because such an addendum or such an agenda is being fronted by someone like Elias Lukwago, the Macxzzons and their extreme outfit, which has created the kind of politics that Hellen talks about, extreme politics, because every outfit currently, I'll give you an example of us who have well, the NRM has been in charge of this country for the last 40 years. Also, if of all of us seated here, we here on the panel and the producers, none of us were here then. The leaders, both in opposition and otherwise, have been a result of this extreme system. And over the years, because they are very extreme on whatever they do, but those are like my personal views here, we end up with, very extreme systems.
But Honorable, I want to query you further on the devolution, because I think that's something of interest that we could actually discuss, or that the youth out there could take up. I want to understand more about that. Of course, there are issues with, in a country where there's a national budget, there are issues of priority, and priorities initiated, their interests. And we know that sometimes getting things, especially in the game of power, is something that you take. So it's normal that there'll be this bikery. But I think something of interest would be, for the youth out there, would be to understand what you mean by this devolution. Where you are trying, you said something about, the resources being maintained to benefit the people of those particular regions. And I feel like you're overemphasizing Kampala, but what about people saying Mayuge and Kasese?
No, exactly. I was using Kampala to drive my point home. Because how
does it work in
when I spoke about the challenges of the people of Toro sub-region and the issues of the people of Kasese sub-region, Macxzzon and Hellen think those are not national issues, because they are not there, they are in Kampala. So I brought it home to Kampala. When I talked about how the people of Kasese are surviving on Mira and tea, Macxzzon thinks I've not put across any issue, that Mira is not an economic issue to the people of Uganda, because it comes from Ankole, where probably the economic issue is animal, cattle and its products. So he does not understand the plight of the people. And that is how devolution works. If a person comes from an area like, I'm going to give you an example of St. Mary's Racho Hospital.
Yes.
It has one, it is one of the best hospitals in orthopedics. It matters to do with the bones, and then I've forgotten the regional referral hospital of Soroti. Yeah, by design, the colonialists had set out, to create such institutions that addressed the local challenges in areas. And for a person, in whatever I was speaking about, was feeding into devolution. But just like this here, that if you have, say, the NRM has found itself in the NRM has nationalized all the resources. So the people elsewhere are left out, just the way I've been trying to put it across. And people like Macxzzon think that the issues of the people of Karamoja are less issues. Karamoja as a region has resources, as lime, Kasese as lime. Fort Portal was earmarked as a tourism city because it has over 52, for example, crater lakes. It has beautiful hills. It has, the same for. So,
what do you say to
devolution would do?
What do you say to a young person out there saying devolution and decentralization already happened through local governments that collect licenses and all these things for the development of their local area or their local governments?
Well, if for example, if a young person like you,
yes,
or me, I'm going to say, for example, if you come from Gulu, do you, when you look at the businesses in Gulu, do you honestly feel that Gulu is where it is supposed to be, or where it would be ordinarily if all the resources that are collected from there were injected back into the needs of Gulu as a city? I, who comes from Mityana, for example, if all the money, if all the resources that are collected from Lake Wamala and the farming, our coffee, and if they were injected back into Mityana, then Mityana would have better roads, because that is what facilitates our farmers. That is what would facilitate our fishermen. The schools, we would have our societies would then have better schools. So for the issue of
Yeah, Honorable, just to bring it back to the question, why is it that the people out there feel like NUP doesn't bring out the issues, for example, those that you're discussing? Of course, they're up for discussion and improvement constantly and consultation, but this voice is never heard from the national platform, at least from what we're hearing from all the years, Museveni. So what is it in the messaging? Is it strategic that, NUP sticks to the anti-Museveni and, doesn't bring up, for example, very sober discussion that we are discussing around devolution?
We actually bring up these issues. Though or
do you feel like Museveni is the main problem?
We bring up these issues constantly.
Yes.
Wherever we get a chance to talk to the buses. I just told you whatever we did in sub-regions,
yes,
the small message and the alternative that we were suggesting in these areas. And when Hellen and Macxzzon came up, said those are non-issues in a way. So, however, the National Unity Platform, being an outfit of the People Power Movement, which is revolutionary in nature, we are aware that we are still we are combating. We are confronting, a military regime, and but some of the tenets of the dictatorship is that a dictatorship creates that strong man, and one of the things we have to do for the growth of this nation is demystification of the persona. I do not say that I fully condone it, but those who do it in that belief that you have to demystify and present the challenge. It is true that Mr. Museveni is and his family are the biggest problem for this country. When you look, for example, if you go into the banking sector, when you go into the mining sector of this country, when you go into the mining sector, and particularly look at gold, when you go into all these mines in Mubende and where we come from, all these mines that are supposed to be for the nation by law are owned by the first family, are owned by Sodo are owned by Toyota, are owned by...
We don't have...
No, they are owned by members of the first family.
Of this panel,
No.
we don't have the proof.
The
But also,
Uganda National Bureau.
Also, the
sorry,
government...
The Uganda registration, put out, you can go and search some of these.
Map.
Yes,
yes,
and you look for beneficial owners. You will be shocked at what I'm saying.
I think the accurate thing is that the resources, some of these development resources and minerals are bestowed upon the government, but the government runs a free market system on top of that, where people can actually do exploration and then get licenses, including citizens.
Well, I can give you, if that were the case.
But
if that were the case, I will give you an example.
I'm just clarifying on the law around minerals.
Yes, but I'll give you an example of Kampala markets, for example, that are supposed to be run in the same way. That their leases are actually owned by, individuals and members of this ruling class. So the National Unity Platform continues to push its message to the masses in whichever means we can. Unfortunately, for people like Macxzzon, Hellen, maybe myself, and many of us, when I would like to give you an example of as I conclude, you see, sometimes when General Museveni is communicating, and then it makes directs, and then people like you begin making memes. Sometimes such a message is not packaged for people like you. So the people that especially communicate on our behalf target the Wananchi as the first people to liberate, and then we move on, because if the Wananchi and the middle class are aware of their environment, then that is a liberation halfway done.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for those points, I think you do a good job to try and clarify. And I hope before the show ends, you tell people where they can find a lot of NUP's alternative policies. But I'd like to bring in...
I'm going to share with you some of the documents.
Yes, I would like to bring in Comrade Macxzzon. First of all, I think he has tried to answer that they actually have alternative policies. But then...
Why is it they are not the ones you're selling to?
I want us to...
Why are you not selling them to people? Why do you keep them in your pocket?
But you, Hellen, you're a member of the opposition.
It is my time.
The National Unity Platform as an indie party has put out this, and you ask your members of parliament.
We have an hour, so don't worry.
Why are you keeping them in your pocket?
But you know
them out.
I'd like to bring in...
Mr. Kateregga, use 25 minutes.
I'd like to bring in Comrade Macxzzon. We have an hour.
I'm very sorry for behaving like Macxzzon. Being an eclat.
Yes. Comrade Macxzzon, on substance, NUP appears to be a movement that appeals largely to the urban poor. We see the National Resistance Movement, of course, having its share of the urban people, but really dominating when it comes to rural politics. Why do you think this dynamic still stands? Because we see them, of course, in towns, maybe in Gulu, in Mbarara Center, like he said, Kampala. They seem to have an appeal to these young people, rather than, for example, in the rural areas. Could there be some economic determinism?
Where they rig?
Thank you.
But also, you can answer what to his policies.
I'm very happy that Mr. Kateregga is a councillor here.
Yes.
In the so-called regime, military regime, his government, as far as I know, as a political scientist, government is an institution of people that creates policies and implements policies. And therefore, I don't know which government Mr. Kateregga is talking about. If he's not satisfied with his own government, he serves, because he receives salary from government. I expect him to tender in a resignation here in Kamel and says, I don't want to be part of anything of the tyrannical regime, so I've resigned. Let me go and liberate the people of Kawempe. But if that is not the case, then he's preying on minds of Ugandans. You cannot preach water, tell people to preach water, and you take wine.
But that one,
Oh,
that's a
I
disjointed.
think
Macxzzon should
there's a
have run
difference
for
from
my office.
No.
You should have run. You should have run for
It is my
LC5,
time.
where I
It is
ran
my
and
time.
I beat you.
It is my time.
Macxzzon,
It
kindly
is not
proceed.
about beating. It is
Kindly
serving
proceed.
people.
Exactly.
Kindly proceed on the substance.
Yes. So that is one. Number two, honestly speaking, if that is the message of NUP and alternative, then we wish them good luck.
What he said.
Yes. If that is the alternative, we wish them well. Number three, there are two leaders.
Are you convinced by the alternative?
No, if that is the alternative, we wish
them
them good luck.
Mm.
You get? Because Ugandans are watching. I don't have to explain what I say. Ugandans are watching, the young people are watching. If that is the best alternative of the opposition, the largest opposition party,
Devolution.
then we wish them luck. He mentioned the point of nationalization. I don't know what he meant. Nationalization or centralization? I don't know what he meant.
Privatization.
Or privatization. He's going to substantiate. I honestly fail to pick what he was saying. As far as I know, nationalization goes with what the NRA is doing. That each and every asset of government must benefit Ugandans
In general.
equally and in general. So, depending on what he was explaining, it is completely different, in my understanding as a political scientist. But number two, there are two leaders in society. The careerists and the revolutionary leaders. So the difference is in, what is the interest? The difference is interest. The two dichotomies are separated by the word interest. So what is the interest of NUP in this particular debate of substance?
He stated that it's a revolutionary
What is
movement.
No. The revolutionary movement is guided by action, and action is guided by points. The points are informed by understanding of society. They don't know the society they want to transform or to liberate.
Information.
No.
Information.
Hold on, I'm making you will give information. Hold on.
Let's
hold
give him
on,
30
hold on.
seconds.
Yes.
Just right there, because we didn't drill into that.
Please, in 30
But
seconds.
yes, in 30
So that he
seconds,
continues.
I think the National Unity Platform is very clear.
You think?
No, we are very clear. Sorry, we are very clear on what the problem of this country is.
What is that?
We think the problem of this country is poor leadership, and we think to liberate this
You
country,
didn't mention it.
to liberate
You
this
did
country
not mention
fully,
it.
we must create
Talk of
disciplined
leaders.
leaders. What we call our core values, or what we usually call drifts, and that is that if we created disciplined leaders, unlike the ones of NRM who go around shooting people, if we created reliable leaders,
So
or the
it's a-
city are sure
It's a leadership.
it is a leadership challenge. It is broken down. We think that if we created leaders who are,
Okay.
So, comrade, let him proceed. He
Okay.
says the idea is around leadership.
Okay. It is just a mixture. He was given an hour to discuss and tell us issues. He didn't mention issues of leadership.
and you've used
Honestly.
20 minutes and you're not mentioning
Honestly.
the issue.
Until I mentioned the substance and the understanding of society challenges, he said, oh, please, I've forgotten. There is an issue of leadership, and that
And I
is
was just informing
Okay.
him.
so
Proceed, comrade.
there is clear and deliberate, intentional failure of understanding the challenges of this country. by the NUP. That's why they just nosedive. They have no direction. They have nothing to tell Ugandans. They don't know the problems of Uganda. That land conflict, eviction, corruption, poverty, education, health, unemployment, security, and integration.
The regime.
And integration. Okay? The question of leadership, ladies and gentlemen, just like Mr. Kateregga was at Makerere as my guild president, the question of leadership was never solved by talk. It was solved by students. You go and explain to students and they vote you into power. If the problem of Uganda is leadership, explain to Ugandans. I expect you to have explained to Ugandans 2021 and they vote you into power. That's how the constitution in Uganda solved the question of leadership. Here we are talking of permanent issues that are there with bad leadership or good leadership. The question of poverty will still be here whether we have President Museveni or Mr. Kyagulanyi as president, isn't it? So what is your alternative? For me, you don't take me into empty talk. I want your alternative policy on critical questions of Uganda. Poverty, what is your issue? How, as we say, Ugandans, the next 5 years, we are rolling the issue of parish development model.
Which you picked from DP's manifesto.
Which is okay.
Yes.
We are saying, what is the alternative?
Cooperation.
Nothing. So I was talking about the interest. If the interest is transforming the society of this of ours here called Uganda, let them give us. If it is not, we are only reducing them to a pressure group. The other issue I wanted to talk about was he kept talking about the first family members and all that. As far as I know, there is no law that says since I am NRM, I have no right to participate in business, or I cannot do business, or there is a particular set of ideas of business that I'm supposed to be engaged in.
Yes, heard about it.
You get
peddling.
You get that for me, since I am national resistance movement, or since I am from the north or from the east, I am not supposed to do business in mining. I am not supposed to do business in cattle. I'm not supposed to do business in this and that and that and that. And those are the petty issues, Mr. Olaa, and what I'm talking about. The question is substance. Do you have what to tell Ugandans? Yes. What is it? It is leadership. How is it answered here in Uganda? 5 years, you go to people, mobilize, dispense the message you're talking about. Trust me, they will like it if it is good. And if it is not, wish you well. For me, that's what I can say. I have nothing to say, provided there are no policies and interests of transforming society deliberately and intentionally. The rest is just empty talk.
Yes. Thank you. And I would like to bring in Honorable Hellen.
You're overlooking at me, Mr. Kateregga.
Macxzzon is consistent and growing into
Are you shocked?
a big. No, I'm not shocked because there's always been a propagandist. No, he's a propagandist. No, he's a propagandist. And that's one of the tenets for survival of a dictatorship.
Yes. Comrade Hellen.
Usually creates.
So you're surviving by what?
Honorable Kateregga.
NUP is surviving by what?
We.
What is we?
No,
We? Okay.
Honorable Hellen, it's now your time, and I've been very generous with everyone because that's the nature of this discussion.
It's good to give them time.
It's
Maybe
good to hear out the opinions. But you spent your first period of time speaking on how NUP has no alternative policy. But
I reminded her.
He tried to delve into that discussion. Do you think it's, what you're saying is sufficient? That while they
I know she knows.
While they go and say maybe Museveni is the problem, they campaign in all these cities, they actually have a policy that if you take some 10 minutes or 5 minutes to call him or to check is it on your website? Do you have online?
He said he will on WhatsApp. He said
I'm going to share.
If you take some 5 minutes, they can share with
the
you
alternative policy.
The alternative policy.
Let me share it with Hellen.
But what you're saying,
No,
do you think the alternative?
I'm sure she
policy
has it.
is
Comrade
sufficient?
Olaa, this former guild president and councillor be fair to us.
Deputy institutions.
You cannot be carrying a policy
on WhatsApp.
in the armpit.
No,
WhatsApp.
it's not.
I'm beating around and
about
saying
it.
that
It
you
was
have a
debated in
policy.
Parliament. It was adopted. For
You
example,
share
the
it.
devolution.
We are
And
saying
also-
our
we are
policy,
saying-
our alternative policy on
Comrade
budgeting,
Hellen, you spoke
where we
about,
proposed
you were
the
particular
human
about,
rights-based budgeting,
yes.
and it was rejected. But I've told you one which was passed.
You didn't
on
map.
devolution.
You didn't map out where
No,
the money was coming from. You just allocated.
Because when the NRM suggests,
The
for
budget
example,
just had allocation.
a program-based budgeting, and then we came up with an alternative, which is the human rights-based budgeting. Because they have the numbers and it was not working in their favor, they rejected it. We thought that, you know, as we talk about, you know, the youth and the same way they but differently. Then when we talked about, say, devolution, it actually their system adopted it, but for some reason
rejected it.
Okay.
no,
Okay.
they have been they adopted it,
comrades,
but they are
let's
failing
go
to
back to it.
implement
Let's go back to
it.
comrades.
And
Comrade
recently,
Hellen,
Honorable
you were-
Effa came out
Comrade Hellen,
with the
you-
lead of
you
opposition
were-
3 weeks
you were
ago. They were
in general.
asking
You will share
why it
Comrade
was
Hellen.
not,
You will share.
We
why it is
will
not
share-
implemented after
you will
the
share
We
on
will
vote.
share
WhatsApp.
those details.
Exactly. Share on WhatsApp.
Hopefully, the public there will also get them. But, comrade, you know, critique this particular aspect of NUP around policy, but in particular about Parliament as well, where they have the majority-minority. Let me call it that. But as you have said, there's some work they've been doing. You can see with COSASE, you can see the alternative budget that was released by the leader of opposition. And then he has stated some facts. Don't you think you're being too tough on NUP
Now,
for not having a
first
policy?
of all, I want to make it clear that my ideological orientation does not allow me to shout. So when they start shouting the two, I will always keep quiet because that is not my ideological
That
orientation.
is you widely trained.
I believe that I can even speak at the lowest tone and be listened to.
That is our orientation.
So,
I will protect you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I really want to say that I just do not expect these people to carry these ideologies, these policies and whatnot in their armpits. These are the things I am saying that Bobby Wine should be sending out to Ugandans so that if at all action cannot be done at that level, can we mount pressure from grassroots and come up with masses saying that yeah, this can actually work? Because where it has failed at that level and you choose to keep quiet and sit on it, there is another alternative of using the masses to influence. But again, when you go and also become a lamenter, it becomes a problem. So for me, it should be about how we roll out these policies also. It's a big problem. You don't just roll out something and if it fails, you just sit and choose to relax and sit on them.
You stated that the policy actually brought numbers for NUP. And, you know, he also made it clear that sometimes they have to package the message for the Wananchi, you know, to be able to...
Who is the Wananchi if Hellen is not part of them? Who is that Wananchi now?
Wananchi.
We need to talk about
Ellen.
because no. Let me first finish this point. There is no Wananchi that is going to sit there and let me tell you, according to the masses that I saw in Mayuge, I can even tell you that maybe even 20% could only be voters and could even pick out a day to just call a leader and sit them down and say this and this should be done. So we should also look around on issues that who are you addressing first of all? You should address your issues to where you know they are going to be implemented. So when you tell us that you're talking to Wananchi and your issue is just going to map out their problems, sing for them and come back to Kampala and you give accountability of the 3 billion that you receive quarterly, it does not make sense at all. So for me, it should be about making sense to what you are preaching. Preach something and make sense out of it. Don't just leave it hanging because it will not carry the sense. When you go out and you start telling us the problem is the leadership of this country, what solution are you bringing? Because so far you have a stake on the leadership that is at the table. You have over 60-something MPs, councillors in Kampala and all over NUP. What are you doing about it? Because You're talking about poor leadership, but when you were given the city council, you still provided the NRM speak.
Yes.
In Macxzzon. Is it in Macxzzon?
Yes. Comrade Hellen, we are going forth and back with that discussion. I think we all our viewers a bit of substance. And one of the ways to get substance is to compare. What is the DP doing to approach the 2026 elections? And how is it, for example, sharing its ideas? Because I believe DP also gets some money from government.
DP is in marriage with the system.
You can enlighten the viewers.
Maybe I will just tell you that we've particularly participated in the former elections, 2020, 2011, 2021. 2026, we supported Amama Mbabazi. That means we've been part of the processes that we think this country needs a different leader. But when you fail in all that, you sit on the table and reconcile with your thoughts and say, look, if the election has failed, what plan B do we have? And the plan B we have at the moment is that we must talk to each other. And maybe we fail to understand the other party. Maybe the other party has also failed to understand us. Because it's about understanding each other. So we are saying that for us in DP, we believe that it's time to discuss, to talk openly about our issues. And the President General calls it a Kachokema dit in Acholi. I don't know if that's the right accent. But we feel that for us, it's time that we need to talk to each other and say, look, this and these are our problems. How best can we solve them? We shall not keep avoiding each other. Or over time, we've avoided each other. Even in the election, you feel your roadmap is in Soroti, the other partner's roadmap is this side. When you meet, you fight each other. So we are saying that, how about we talk to each other and we see how best we can deal with this country? Because this country is ours. All of us have a stake in this country. But we shall not avoid each other. Yet at the end of it all, we are all Ugandans. And Ugandans expect the best out of it. So,
do you encourage NUP to take that same path?
That is the best thing they have to do at the moment. Because they've tried elections. Our people have been killed. The young people are sitting in prisons. You know very well that the NRM is the mastermind of violence, so you will not beat it at that. You know that they are the organizers of the elections, which you're already campaigning for in 2026. Even after saying that the election failed and it was rigged, you're still already into another election. That is facilitating this government. You're almost crediting it. And in fact, these people have done us wrong. They overcredit this government. Because now when you do that campaign, the other campaign, and then you come and tell us that the government is curtailing you in one place, you're not campaigning, yet you have a successful rally in Kabale on top of putting people onto hold into their businesses. Because you were using the main street. I was saying Kabale is my district, remember? You were using the main street. Kabale people are hardworking. They never have any day minus working. And I will tell you, if in my district, when it is campaign time, rallies are normally in the afternoon, unlike other areas. Because our people work in the morning and go for rallies in the afternoon. But these people showed you that they would go in the middle of the street and people cannot work anymore. So, for me, I believe that at the time, we need to first listen to each other. And I don't care even if they say this election should be postponed to 2028, and we first talk to each other and see where the problem is. Because still, if you go to 2026 like this, we are going to get the very, very challenges. And in fact, even more. Because now we have more challenges. We have the MK movement coming. There are people that in the corners are shouting Ruabogo. There is Jaja Tova Kumeini. There is Bobby Wine. The other day I was added into a WhatsApp group of Nambeshe. He wants to be president. Robert Mao has not given up yet. Vesije is making noise from Katonga. Power is all over. Nandala is all over. What are we going to talk to each other about? Because at the end of it all, we are just going to create divisionism. And that is what the NRM wants. The more we are divided, the more they will rule us the most. Because for them, it will be a leeway. They will always have the way they will reconcile their people around. I will tell you, for example, in an area like Karamoja as a region, it has only one opposition councillor, who is the DP. In a beam, that whole region does not have opposition. It is NRM. And for us, we've chosen to just sit here and campaign around towns. That is why you'll see our campaigns are normally moved from Kampala to Fort Portal to Kabale City. And we leave such virgin areas where NRM goes, and these are the areas that need us the most, because Karamoja, you know what is in Karamoja. It's a very, very good area that this country benefits from the most. But we've not taken advantage. And we are just leaving the NRM to go with the poverty that is in Karamoja, with all the insecurity, with the health issues, all issues at that side, but all the solutions that we have here. We have a hand in what happens in Karamoja with the gold and what? The minerals. You know how rich Karamoja is. But we leave such an area where we should go and talk to people exactly about issues. And we choose to base our politics metropolitan.
Yes.
So how about we made national campaigns also? Because we almost become, it's provincial politics. And it is very bad and deadly for our people. When you look at the urbanization that we have, for example now, the streets are full of street kids. Even they are no longer street, they are also street mature people. On streets begging. Old people, go to Mbale. Garbage on streets. Old and mature people begging. Come to Kampala city. See how people are begging. And we do not have, we are not talking about these issues. These are the issues that we should talk about. Sit on a round table and say, but look, this and this and this is a problem.
Yeah.
You as a government, you are saying you're doing this, but we are not saying, we are not seeing it yielding.
Comrade, I want to bring in Comrade Macxzzon so you can wind up.
Yes, so as I conclude, the issue should be about us talking right now. The issue is now, look, we should even be asking NRM in the 2021 election, your manifesto was this. How far with the implementation? These are the questions we should be asking right now, not rallies. We should be talking about, Bobby Wine, you said you would have implemented this. So far you have this number in Parliament. What have you talked about? DP, if you failed, we are cooperating. Okay, what has come out of the cooperation after 1 year of cooperation? These are the questions we should be asking. We should be asking these NRM people that your manifesto had this and this and this. What have you done so far? So, but instead of running around politics is not really going to help our country. I believe it's time that we sit on a table and work for our people. It should be action, not just words, because we've really talked too much. On TVs, every program is now political. There is no program that is talking about the deterioration of the education sector. Kids came back last week. They are going back next week. Fees has been hiked. Nobody is talking about those issues. All of us are now looking our eyes. Everything is political. DP cooperating, FDC wrangles, NUP rallies. What time are we going to talk about issues that affect us?
Thank you very much. And I would like to bring in Comrade Macxzzon. From my studies, especially in preparation, I read into the issue around that politics is not exactly the problem. If you read The Governance of China by Xi Jinping, the current leader, it says that politics is not the problem, but political design is one of the issues. Comrade Macxzzon, Uganda had a relatively depoliticized time between 86 and 2006 under the movement system, where we saw ministers being censured, we saw, government operating at some trajectory before, the structural adjustment policies decreed that we have to have political parties. Since then, we have fallen into this abyss of political. NRM became NRM, we got NUP, we have FDC, all these parties. What do you think are some of the ways we can depoliticize Ugandan politics and focus on, for example, the agenda? Because we believe all these parties have a similar agenda, which is a Uganda that works.
Not. The last statement is not correct. All these parties have different agendas. Their agenda is Museveni. That's what he summarized. Okay. You have had.
But in principle,
you have had the DP. Of course, in principle, you have had the DP. They are at least accurate. For them, their interests are known. You get. So, if all of us know something about Kiswahili, there is a word called maslahi.
Maslahi.
Yeah, maslahi. La mwananchi. La wananchi. It is interest of the people. It is what should guide the politics. If not, we go back to the politics of identity. That's how you start talking about political parties, tribe, religion, and all these small parochial issues. Yet, all of us, because I was born in Uganda.
True.
I joined NRM. He was born in Uganda. From DP, he's NUP. I don't know the difference. She was born in Uganda. She's UID. But with or without DP, she's a Ugandan.
That's true.
So what is the interest? The interest, the maslahi is all Ugandans to be secure. That is number one. How safe are all Ugandans? Such that we are first safe, then we start these political discussions. Number two, what do we have that can feed us? We don't starve, we don't die. Are we going into modernity? Can we go to school? Can we all access education? So that all Ugandans can speak the kind of English we are talking about. Okay? After you have done that, do we have education? Full education. Can all our children outside there access education? Okay? Do we have market for our produce?
And not just education, but quality.
Exactly. Do we have market for our produce? After we have done all that, we are secure, we are safe, we are going to school, then we can produce. We have market for our product. If the question is yes, where? If the market is here in Uganda, it is not enough. We start talking about Africa. I can tell you, we have food rotting in these markets every day. But we have people starving in Karamoja. We also have people starving in Congo, in Mogadishu, in Juba. That means the movement, we are not doing enough.
And in Karamoja.
We are just, soaked in conversations of people power. We are being blocked from accessing town. You know what he was saying. We are blocked from. We tried to, then we overpowered security and entered the city. It's none of Uganda's business, and it will never be. I can tell you, it will never be until you start talking about the interest. And the interest of the national resistance movement has been transforming Uganda from a pre-traditional and capitalist to a modern society for all of us, for everybody. Okay? So until political parties, you see, in political science, a political party is a group of people formed or established to take over power, to take government. If the interest of the reason of formation is not to take power, you're called what we call a pressure
group.
That's all. So what is the interest? If you're taking power, it must be guided by ideology. When you talk about ideology, people laugh because they don't know the meaning. Ideology is a set of ideas that govern action of a particular group. So then we start talking about ideology. That's when we start talking about alternative policies and policies, policy formulation, analysis, and implementation. Hence the word opposition.
It is ideology.
You get that if we have a problem here in this room, 1, 2, 3, we are 10. And we are saying we are going to solve this problem like this. And people say, no. It must be solved like this. That becomes opposition, alternative. But you just don't wake up in the morning and say, we are a pressure group, for us we want to remove government. So what? Because government have been here and they have gone. We have had so many presidents, either me or with absolutely ideological disorientation. And they took Uganda into turmoil. We struggled since 1980. Actually, it is for the first time in 100 years, in 700 years, that Uganda is stable. So that it has been stabilized. Now we can sit next to NUP and have a conversation. Okay, for the first time in 700 years, since the dynasties were fighting, kingdoms, chiefdoms. Then we came to these small regimes. 5 years, this one topples this one topples this one topples this one overthrows this, because the interest was not clear. Ugandans were not seeing the interest. Now that the interest is clear, and we have started talking about budget, community, education, poverty, and all that, it is now very, very, very important that all political parties really think about the interests of the Ugandan. Think about a Ugandan who is deep down in Kundi, where I come from, not even interested in your political talk. For us, we want to go and invade. We want to, tyranny. We went to Mayuge and we were on top of the cars and we were drumming. I mean, someone is dying in the house. Okay, so for me, the interest, I stick on the point, the interest of a political party. It also guides the interest of an individual. The orientation of young people into these political parties. Like Hellen has told you, what is the orientation? When Mr. Kateregga was appointed or elected, I don't know, as Deputy Coordinator Institutions, NUP, what was the orientation? That please, you're coming to this political party. Our interest and our agenda is this. And it is intended to develop Uganda.
Maybe he was caught unaware.
You get? So unless the ideology of national resistance movement.
Yes.
4 points.
The ideology.
Yes.
Like I can say the ideology of UID.
No, that is not ideology.
Clearly,
that's why I said you don't know the meaning.
No,
ideology means a set of ideas.
Proceed.
It is not an idea. It is a set of ideas that governs actions. And we have 4 types or even kinds of
NRM is not
ideology.
ideological.
Broad-based.
Listen. The reason we are broad-based is that we are cosmopolitan. We believe each and every person matters. Each and every political matters. Each and every person matters. The youth, the women, and every.
But you always say again that you're not a political party.
Hold on. There is our message is nationalism. That is our point number 1. You get? It means each and everybody must be patriotic and love your country. Whether you're NUP or not, because we are providing leadership not only for NRM.
So the actions of the leaders
just hold on, because you're going to misinterpret.
And we'll have also the ideologies of the other.
The second point is socio-economic transformation.
But Ola, we are not going to allow this man to take us to Changwan.
No, it is my time. It is not. It is my time.
No.
You say it is not the ideology you understand.
No, it's not ideology.
You get? I am teaching you the ideology as a political scientist.
Political science.
Who?
It's not ideology.
From where?
No, we've been trained by.
No, I'm telling you. Let me give you the ideology of NRM, and you say that is not
we
true.
will have a
since you know it very well. Since you know it very well, you will say no, that is not the ideology. The ideology of NRM is this. It was 10-point program, reduced to 15, and later reduced and compressed to 4 points. Values and principles: Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, democracy, and patriotism or nationalism. Those are the points that are governing NRM action. You get? So if you have an alternative ideology of the nationalism, please table it on table.
Comrade, what is an alternative ideology? Maybe for purposes of our viewers.
Yes.
Because I think now we are confusing
exactly
the meaning of ideology.
Exactly. The meaning
for example,
of ideology.
UID.
And not. I do not speak for the NRM. I have known the NRM to call themselves as an outfit that lacks ideology. And then when they refer to themselves as a broad-based system. But I speak for my party, and we are a social democratic party, and that is our ideology. That is what we identify as. And if I can give you some of the tenets and the beliefs of
a social democratic party.
Yes. We believe, for example, when we're talking about
social democratic, he said revolutionary.
When we're talking about, if we talk about issues, say like taxation, our fiscal policy, if we're to come in power today, the NUP believes that the rich are supposed to pay more taxes to help the poor grow. Yes, to help the poor grow. And like those are some of the tenets, and those are
under
some
social democracy.
Exactly. Yes. We believe in we believe that all masses should access quality, affordable education.
Yes.
That all masses should access affordable, quality health care.
Yes.
And those are some of the tenets.
Yes, comrade. And just to, I think I get that. Do we then also say what's the ideology of
from
is it center right?
I will start from that side. From the time I've known NRM, I've always known that it's multi-ideological. Even Museveni says it.
Yes, they do
in
not
his
have
but there could also be a
So I wonder how Macxzzon would understand the ideology of Museveni's party than the formulator. So that I'll leave that
just
at
as
that.
we conclude, because
The ideology, DP is a center-right political party. Clear, pro-people. Even when you look at into our values, protection of fundamental human rights, and all that, we are a center-right and pro-people. Clear. We don't add a lot of English to qualify what is not right. Center-right.
We can critique ideology.
You can, yeah.
But, and we don't have enough time for that. But I believe the formation of ideologies is one of the, because the ideologies that come from the West. For example, DP has a global network of parties. NRM may be organic. We don't know. But as we conclude, I hope our viewers get an idea of ideology. But I'd like to give a minute, starting with you, Honorable Hellen, because you're historically the very time-conscious guest.
And the ladies
1 minute, 1 minute to say something to the viewers, a call to action to the youth, as we conclude. In a minute, please.
I want to thank you, Comrade Olaa, for hosting us, and I want to thank all our viewers for always keeping it a date to watch this very important show. This is a program where us young people come and talk about issues that we believe can build our country and participate in nation building as young people. But I want to call upon the young people out there to interest themselves in critically looking at our leaders and asking them for accountability. I feel there is a gap that we've not really utilized, especially in pressing our leaders so hard to ask them what they are doing. We are just instead clapping, and we are not taking keen interest in issues to do with our well-being, in issues to do with our nation building. Instead, we are allowing them to pile us with manifestos of and worked on projects and all that. And I want to call, maybe to make a call to this country that we need something to do with early politicking, so that we avoid issues of early politicking and people are not really performing to what we expect of them. So those are the issues that I feel we should talk about. But thank you so much, Ola, for hosting us, and thank you, our viewers.
Yes, thank you, Comrade Hellen. It was a pleasure having you as always, and we look forward to more and more sessions with you here, dissecting issues for the youth. Comrade Macxzzon, your parting remarks and a call to action to the young people.
Thank you, my friend Ola, and for hosting us.
Yes,
thank you so much for this show. I am sure it benefits young people. I am also happy to have joined fellow panelists, Comrade Kateregga. Macxzzon is from the other side, but we are friends. My sister Hellen.
From the same side.
Martin Luther says, but before Luther, we have a security issue, a terror issue, and I really request especially the young people to be so much conscious in their movements, especially in the night, and also these recreation centers, clubs, what. Watch your neighbor closely and watch your movements. Martin Luther says that if man has not discovered something he is to die for, then that man should not live. Nelson Mandela says, what are you living for? It is not just enough to possess a name, because anybody can possess a name. But what are you adding to society? So we have so many challenges and strategic bottlenecks as a country.
Mm.
You can identify one and die for it. Thank you so much, and I wish you good luck.
Thanks for that powerful message and for your rich input into this discussion. And we hope to have you more and more in this discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Comrade Kateregga, your parting remarks.
Thank you for hosting me here. I just want to encourage the youth out there to shake off their slumber and pay attention to whatever is happening in this nation. Because if we, like colleagues have said, it is very important for us to be aware of our environment. For we say if you either participate or get participated, the youth of this nation should not allow themselves to be used as pawns in the political game plan of other people. Let us organize and push our issues and agenda forward. Our concerns are cross-cutting. No political party, no religion, no tribe, and probably cross even beyond our country. So the earlier we come together to address these issues that affect us as young people, the better. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very Comrade Kateregga. And we hope to have you more and more on this show. You have a powerful voice among the young people of Uganda, and I think it needs to be heard more. So upon request in future, we hope to see you again. Yes, and to our dear viewers, it has been such an interesting show. As young leaders, they have managed to inform, but also to inspire their young people with a sense of their ideas, a sense of style, and a sense of style of speech as well. And I think that is really important when passing down the messages that we all need to hear. They have called upon you to continue listening and contributing to this national journey of what we all dream of Uganda to be. And as your host, it was a pleasure having you. Please watch and share as far as possible so that all our comrades in the struggle can listen to this message. And till next time, it was a pleasure. I remain Okot Olaa, your host of the Youth Roundtable.